just the right time. When all their lives were about to change. Ryan Tafolla, John Albright, Cara Tafolla, and introducing Annie Skovmand. From Albright Entertainment in San Diego, California, this is What the Podcast.
Wow.
Wow.
That was good.
I thought we were going to get a round of wows, but wasn't enough for
Oh, were
the
you
wife.
waiting for my wow?
She didn't
Baby,
care.
I
She
always
was
am.
unimpressed.
Welcome back to What the Podcast. I'm Ryan.
I'm John.
And together we are
Ryan and John.
on the couch, as always, producer Cara Tafolla and the lovely Annie Skovmand.
I like in the intro you in introducing Annie's going as if I haven't been here
Yeah,
since
first time.
October
I feel like
last
last
year.
week too.
No, I
Hey,
was like,
thanks for being here today, Annie.
hey,
Honestly.
you know what? I'm always happy to come down to lesser podcasts,
Yeah, thank you.
hang
Okay,
out.
Get out.
This
Part
is
of the
charity
intro
work.
I started omitting, I realized, is we couldn't do it without you to the people over on the on the couch side. But that was back when we had two producers. Now we just have a
Sure.
producer and
You don't
And Annie.
and like a
That's right.
I think you
So you
originally
admitted it because Annie, we could do it without Annie.
Anyways, I want the
Ouch.
record to show
Oy.
that I didn't say that. We are now in the time of daylight savings.
Gosh, thank goodness.
Daylight
Wait,
savings.
isn't daylight savings time over?
No,
Like, we're not
daylight
in it
savings
anymore.
time has
It's
begun.
really unclear. I will say
But we're not saving daylight.
No, we are.
it's been 2 weeks, and
so
are you
confusing.
have you gotten used to it at all in 2 weeks?
I mean,
No.
no, like the waking up
Arr.
early part, but truly, like, this could be the time forever, and I'd be like, yeah, whatever.
My mom looked up.
It's true.
Because when Emma got home from Paris, she looked up how long it takes for you to like get rid of jet lag, and it's however many days you were in that different time frame. That's how many days it'll take to readjust.
How long was she in Paris?
14
weeks.
days.
So it'd take 2
Well,
weeks. But
so
so,
how long
for
were we
us,
in daylight?
We were in daylight savings for like a couple months, right? From November to.
We'll never adjust.
By the time we adjust, in 2 months we'll go back.
Jet lag.
Yeah.
I don't know if
Yeah.
jet lag is the same as.
It's only an
time
hour.
change,
It's
though.
true. It's only an hour of difference.
Yeah, I feel like for me, daylight savings doesn't really affect me. I'm put out
Yeah.
there. I'm basically
You're at
you know,
moniker either way, right? I mean,
Yeah,
it's
like saying I'm
it's either
the
8
same
a.m. at
thing.
moniker or 9 a.m.
literally
at
woke
moniker.
up
7
you know?
a.m.
exactly
whatever.
an hour before I was supposed to.
Weird.
Exactly
Rough.
now.
I
See, for
took-
me, I'm just like, yeah.
I
woke up
made the
early.
brutal decision to cover at work, and it pushed my shift up an hour. So instead of starting at 6:45, I now start at 5:45.
Only technically.
Right before the time change happened, literally like 2 days before that weekend
So
it
then
changed.
your body was
Wait.
like, it's 4:45.
My body's like, "Brr."
Yeah,
that's
how
right.
does that make sense?
He actually starts at 5:45.
I actually start at 5:45 now. But because of the time, I took that shift temporarily right before the time change happened.
Yes.
So I was already getting up earlier than I was supposed to. And then the time change happened and you lose an hour.
Yep.
So then I was like, I'll never recover, probably.
I don't think
Yeah, that's
any
what
of
that
us
sounds
will.
like.
I'm having a hard time wrapping my mind around it.
Yeah.
Time.
What this shows us is that Ben Franklin was much smarter than us, and we still don't understand why he did it. We
It's
don't
for
get
the
it.
farmers or something?
Something about farm and kids or something like
Like
that.
the hours that they spent outside working on the farm had to be more during the summer because of
They
the
could get more
seasons.
I just like
farms.
being able to eat dinner at like the right time and it still be light out.
I like
it's,
getting
but
off
it's
of work when
outdated,
it's like
right? I mean, now
Yeah.
we should just
Well,
put it to rest.
Arizona doesn't even do it.
And Hawaii.
And why,
Arizona doesn't do it.
and why would they? Well,
I love it.
Hawaii because it's an American thing. The rest of the world doesn't do it, right?
Yeah.
It's just
It's
the greater
Yep.
48 states minus Arizona.
which you never know. like here, those are the kind of things where like you never know how much that played into America becoming a superpower. Like, how we don't know what.
Maybe
we don't know
that's what makes we're built different.
Yeah,
you know?
we don't know what daylight savings did to us. That like maybe it benefited us in some way that we'll never truly know or we can't see because it happens
made
so
our
slowly.
military budget in the trillions.
Because of daylight, because that extra hour.
I hope you're right. I hope you're right, Annie.
Ben Franklin.
And I'm looking forward
I'll
to
talk to you when we
abolishing it
get-
then, because that's kind of always the conversation.
Let's
this
abolish
time
everything,
of year is like, yeah, let's just like Congress is now actually, you know what Congress is voting to get rid of it is like the conversation every year,
They've done
right?
it every single year.
Let's just
every
do
single
it.
year, and it doesn't pass for some odd reason.
Make bold
Everybody
strokes.
will get rid of seasonal depression if we just keep it this way.
Well, I don't know about that.
That's an interesting thing too.
You never know,
'cause
it might.
Seasonal depression kind of comes with when the time changes, right? Obviously,
Because
that's
the
like.
time
Yeah.
changes and it's cold.
It's all of a sudden it's
Really?
dark at 6 p.m. and
Yeah.
Well, I mean, is it really cold here in San Diego?
Dark
Or is
at
it just-
5. The
it's
first, like,
the
couple
idea
weeks.
is like it's like your days are shorter.
Days
And then
are
if you
always
sleep
shorter.
in, your day is like done.
Yeah.
That's the best part about now is if you can get to sleep in
And
you
the
still
sun
get your whole
doesn't
day.
set until like 7.
Do you guys ever struggle with that seasonal depression?
I just struggle with normal depression.
Okay.
It just it's not seasonal. It's not
Does
like
it get
the sun-
spicier? Does it get spicier during different seasons?
I guess so.
Big question.
I guess it's quirky like that.
Kind of fun. Kind of
There's like
interesting.
a pumpkin spice element to it near, you
Just a
know,
little bit, yeah.
October.
I have pumpkin spice depression come October. Wow.
I think I have
This
like
is, this is
even
really
like
edging on some stuff we should probably.
Listen,
I would say not seasonal, not depression, but just like the first week of that time change, it's always like
you're just like
Driving home in the
sad.
I love that time change.
You like so
Oh,
you like
gosh.
the winter
you
season.
might be the only one.
better.
Well,
in the world.
Do you think that makes you a sociopath?
Okay, first of all, I'm sure that many people agree with me. I'd love to make an Instagram poll on this. I think a lot of
I would
people agree
love
with
to
me.
see what people think about
Yep.
you liking.
It'll be 1%
First
tonight.
of all,
Maybe-
I
okay.
just said one statement, and I feel like I haven't even gotten a chance to explain myself.
a
Explain
little
yourself.
spicy.
Explain yourself.
Okay, I will say I like it because one, we quote unquote gain an hour of sleep. And that's always a great thing when you
Yes.
like get to sleep more, you know what I'm saying? But also I like it because it's associated with the holidays for me. When it gets dark early, like that's my memories as a kid is like it would get dark early and that means like Christmas is coming and Thanksgiving is coming, you know what I'm saying?
You know what,
think-
John? You're built different, and the girls can't accept that,
Well,
and that's just fine.
I think that's where
I think
the argument's confusing to me. It's like there are 24 hours in the day, no matter which way we spin it. So you don't like there's one day maybe where you gain an hour,
Oh, really?
but like you don't actually. There's not all of a sudden 25
Okay, you're
hours.
dismissing the
Listen.
memory part that I brought in, which is like
or your
as a
childhood
kid-
memories.
Okay, you know what?
Aw.
Yeah.
Okay. You know what, John? I think that everyone just needs to find things that they love, and if you love the holidays with your family, great.
I
Okay,
will
I'm
say
kind of interested in this thing.
Yeah.
Though. Whatever you've got going there.
Yeah, the
you don't like-
energy.
do you not like fall Christmas time?
You don't like your family? So what you said?
No, I love it. My family, when I walked out
jumped
the
on
door
that.
today, my
See
dad
that?
goes, "Don't say anything bad about us on the podcast."
Oh,
and I
nice.
said,
Listen to the
I said,
podcast?
I would never. And he goes, "Well, not if it wasn't true, right?"
Oh my gosh.
Like, what is this bitch? I said, probably. I don't know. I don't like. My thing is, my holidays were always. I love my family, but it was like we only really saw each other on the holidays. So it was like kind of like, oh, this like. Obligation to see these people that they don't really
You know,
know
there's
anything
a similar
about me.
thing that happens this time of year and Christmas time. Working in ministry, as we call them, creaster
The
people,
Creasters.
is the same kind of thing.
No,
where
they're
they'll
CEOs.
go ahead.
Christmas and Easter only.
CEO.
Oh, we call them Creasters.
Yeah, definitely
Wow,
Creasters.
I've never heard Creaster.
But it's kind of the same thing, which is funny, like the obligation towards church, and just based on this, like the season, people are like, maybe I should go to church, or maybe I should go see my family, you know, like it's that kind of, so it's kind of interesting. Like it's the same.
I think like when I
thing.
pictured it as a kid, like I always was like, when I grow up, I'm gonna spend my holidays with all of my friends. And it's gonna be like almost like kind of like paving your own way. Like
Yeah.
this sounds so awful, but like, and we talked about it near Christmas time. It's like my dad's parents have sadly passed away this last year, and this was our first year kind of without them. And I kind of pitched it to my whole family. I was like, this is us making our own family traditions now. Like we can do whatever, like you're going to be the grandparents. We're going to be the aunts and uncles. Like this is it. Like this is the generation passing on. This is the new way. Whoa. And it was like a really cool opportunity. Did we change anything? No. But I have hope for next year.
Yeah, so
next
year. You're in a
year.
transition year. Your grandma only passed away like
she had passed maybe like a month or two before. Like it really wasn't. It was pretty sudden.
And I feel like too when there's a major like a death of like, you know, kind of like the patriarch or matriarch of the family, it can bring that family together.
Yeah,
you know,
totally.
Even if you have like differences, there's like this weird like you all get in the same room and you kind of like you feel like closer to them because of the passing of your grandparent. You know.
Yeah.
So.
And we'll get into this like because obviously it's gonna be like the majority of this episode. But we had a really cool guest, and there's one thing he said when we talked to him that I like really kind of like hooked onto. And it was this idea of like things are taught and there's like this, it's not even like generational trauma, but just like this generational like
things
idea.
Are such passed down.
Yeah. And so I think like I never really had like close cousins. And it's interesting because like I see like, and we've had this conversation before, like blood thicker than water, all this idea.
Yes.
And because I wasn't super close necessarily with my family or my like, you know, external family growing up, like to the point where like I wouldn't just like show up at my aunt's house and like jump on the couch and like hang out with my cousins. So like I don't necessarily have that as much. And then while you guys have these really close knit families, like I hope to change that. Like I want to teach my kids to be more like close knit with their family and everything. Yeah. And so it's like just interesting when he mentioned that. I was like, wow, because he was talking about it in the realm of like, you know, animals and this idea we have about animals. But like, it's just interesting because that can pertain to really anything.
Yes. Well, that's a great segue into what we're going to see on today's episode. John, do you want to kind of speak into it?
Sure. Yeah. So we have Bruce Ireland on, and you'll see the full interview here in a second. But he is a San Diego based snake wrangler.
Truly.
I keep saying that, but really there really is no other better description because he kind of has just taken upon himself.
He's not a snake hunter.
To build this business. And also really, I really think it's more of a cause because I think he, in the conversation, as you'll see in a moment, he's really passionate about snakes and relocating them. So when a rattlesnake gets in your yard or gets in, sometimes it's in people's houses, they make their way in. He comes out, he dispatches out, and he basically captures the snake, and then he does this really long. And I've seen some of his TikToks. We didn't really talk about it on in the interview, but he does these long hikes out to like the middle of nowhere, and then relocates the snakes. And it's like I think it's cool. It's like a mix of his hobby. He loves hiking and he loves reloading it. He loves his snake cause. So he gets to relocate them far, far away from any other houses. And he has taken to TikTok and gotten almost 1 million followers.
Yeah.
He has like 930,000 followers. And the way he describes it, I know it's true. It was just like he wasn't even trying to gain followers. Like there are people out there, like we're out here trying to like gain a following, build an audience.
Sure.
He wasn't even trying to do that. Like he just posts these really compelling, cool videos of him relocating snakes. And he said like every day he'd see, and there was like a couple hundred more followers here and there. And I was like, when he was saying that, I was like, I can't imagine like checking my TikTok and seeing a boost of 400, 500 followers.
And it permeates the whole interview when you're about to see with Bruce is that he just loves what he does and just started doing it, and the documenting it part came after, and you can just tell like that he loves animals, he loves being a part of his community, and clearly his following does too. So
yeah.
Bruce Ireland from SD Snake Adventures. We're going to be talking with him. Check out that interview right now.
What's up, guys? We're back here. We have a special guest with us today on the episode. We have Bruce Ireland. He's a San Diego native that is also a snake extraordinaire. He has close to 900,000 or 90,000 followers on TikTok. And he spends his days capturing snakes. Bruce Ireland, how are you doing, man?
I'm so excited to be here. Thank you so much. Yeah, it's actually 937,000.
See,
I said to my kids, I'm going to quit when I hit 1 million. That's my plateau.
I thought when I was saying it out loud, I was going, I'm pretty sure it's 900,000, but I didn't want to like overshoot you. That's why I added that in. So I'm sorry. It is not, you're close to 1 million. Very exciting stuff.
Yeah, it's exciting. We'll probably talk about it, but it was never my intentions to A, start a TikTok page, and B, did I ever think that it would actually be something people would like. So I'm thrilled that there's that many people that either love snakes so much that they follow, or they hate snakes so much that they follow. But I don't really care why they follow as long as they do.
Yeah. So before we get into how you got into snakes, tell us a little bit about you outside of your occupation. What would you tell somebody if you just met them?
Yeah. I'm a very fortunate guy. I moved to San Diego about 30 years ago from Houston, Texas.
Oh, nice.
And when I got out here, I just embraced the lifestyle. I'm a big ocean guy. I surf almost every day if there's waves. I'm a big outdoor camper, fisherman, hiker, backpacker. So San Diego suited my lifestyle. I was fortunate enough to meet a lady that also liked me, first of all, which is pretty crazy in itself. But she moved from New York City, where she was a big star on Broadway. She gave all that up to come out here, and now she's married to a crazy snake guy, which she's probably scratching her head looking back at that going, what the heck?
Wow, that's something I didn't know. I didn't know. That's awesome.
Yeah, I mean, and that's a good jumping off point is you are, in fact, a crazy snake guy. So how do you even start doing something like that? Most people, like we were saying, when they see a snake, they'll run the other direction. And as we've seen from your TikTok, you run towards it and with a bucket and a hook. How did you get started doing that? Do you have like a wire loose maybe?
You know what? I think I'm pretty normal. I think I'm pretty sane. I'll quickly say that I became, I would almost say, infatuated with snakes when I was in Texas. We moved to Texas when I was about 6 years old. I was a really little kid. I was really shy. And I quickly learned that all around where our home was woods and swamps. And I would just go out. I'd take my bike. It was back when kids had no curfew. They just had to be home by dinner time. So I would leave all day. And I would have pillowcases in my backpack, and I would catch any kind of snake I could. That included all the venomous snakes that are in Texas. And I quickly learned as a kid, with no real parental guidance, how to handle them and not get bitten. And I carried it over into my adult life. I've still got this incredibly big spot in my heart for the underdog, which is the snake. And as you guys just said, most people are petrified of snakes or fear snakes. And I think that's understandable. I think snake fear is right there besides or right behind death and public speaking.
It must be.
Because it's snakes. So I decided several years ago that I wanted to do anything I could to help these guys. And unfortunately here in San Diego, the only options you have are to call the fire department, who are required to chop them in half, unfortunately, or you call animal control, who charges you $250, shows up 3 hours late, and then chops them in half.
Wow.
So I decided, hey, I'm going to combine my passion and something I know a lot about and try to help my community.
Yeah, that's I'm glad you brought that up, because that is a big part of your mission, not just relocating, not just capturing them and helping people out, but also intentionally relocating them, which I think is so different, because I grew up in San Diego. We're in Santee, and so we get snakes. We're right like on a hill, and we get snakes all my childhood. We had them in the backyard, and the dogs would corner them, and we would just call the fire department. And I had no idea what happens when the firefighters take them. I just assumed that they would relocate them, but that's interesting information. I wish that, there was someone like you that I had known back then to call, because I love the idea that they're being relocated and they're not being killed. Like, that is something I think a normal person might think like, oh, okay, yeah, you find a snake, you kill it. But that's not at all your approach. And I really appreciate that.
Yeah, you know, and I've actually visited the fire departments all around the county to confirm that they actually do kill them, and they confirm that they are required by the powers that be above the fireman pay grade that they have to kill them. But what's really unfortunate is when you call a fire station with a snake, they have to fully gear up, put on their firefighting outfits. They get into a big multi-million-dollar fire truck, 4 of them, and they are off their real job, which is emergencies, for at least an hour to go to a home, get the snake, put it in a bucket, and then they don't have the time, unfortunately, or the resources to then do what I do, which is hike them miles and miles back into the backcountry and release them. So they just kill them.
Wow.
And I don't know. I get that a lot of people think that the only good snake is a dead snake, but they don't understand the value of them and what they do for our environment and our ecosystem. And without them, we would be overrun so fast with rats and mice, which are far more dangerous when you think about the diseases they carry. So I just decided this was kind of what I needed to do.
I think I'd like to hear you talk about a couple, some of your craziest snake stories. We'll just go into that.
Also, like your first snake story. Like, how did you get into this?
That's a good question. I'll answer both of them. So the very first actual snake call I went on, besides when I was a little kid, when my parents' friends would call me and I'd ride my bike over at 8 years old. But now as an adult, goes back about probably 5 years now. And we live in La Costa, near Omni La Costa Resort. And a friend of mine called, panicked, and he said they had a huge rattlesnake in their garage, and would I come help? And I, of course, said, I'll be over there in a second. At that time, I did not have any of the right tools. I didn't have a catch bucket. I didn't have the tongs. I didn't have a hook. So I grabbed a putter, which is a golf club.
Basically a hook.
I grabbed a pillowcase off one of our beds, which my wife was furious about. And I drove over there. And that's what I put the snake in and got it away from that home and then carried it out and put it back in nature. Ever since then, so let me back up and say, when I did that, my buddy whose house it was videoed it and he sent it to me. And that's when I started thinking, man, he would have called the fire department, this thing would have been killed. So I put it on Nextdoor, and I just said, nobody knew who I was, but I just said, hey, if anybody has a snake problem or a nuisance snake or a snake that they don't want on their property, call me, it's free, and I'm happy to come get it.
Wow.
You're like, I've got a golf club.
well, it's funny is the phone started ringing off the freaking hook. I was getting 7 to 10 snake calls a day, and I quickly bought snake hook, snake tongs, snake bucket, but I went on the cheap. I started buying, whatever I could find used or whatever. Since then, I've upgraded immensely. In fact, everything I have now is extremely professional and very well built, because there really is no room for error when you're talking about the tools to keep your life safe. But when I put it on Nextdoor, it got to a point where I couldn't keep up with all the calls. So I ultimately started reaching out to fellow people that I knew that like snakes. And now, fast forward 3.5, 4 years, or whatever it's been, I have a team of 7 people, all volunteers, and all do what I do. So unfortunately, what happens is I'm somewhere else and unable to take a call. I've got 6 guys backing me up, and they're great. One of them is always available to get the snake. So we collectively as a group, I don't think we missed any snake calls in 2021. I think we answered every single one of them, which was over 300 calls.
That's amazing.
Jeez. Wow.
That's crazy.
In 300 calls, how many snakes do you think you relocated?
Yeah, and that's a great question. So every call does not equal a snake. What happens is the time the person calls, by the time we get there, it could be 5 minutes, it could be 30 minutes. But a lot of times the snake has vanished, and we do our part. I go kicking around, do my best. I'd say of the 300, we probably rescued 280.
Wow. Yeah, and I asked considering I saw one of your TikTok videos, and you were lifting up. It's probably one of your most popular ones, but you're lifting up the cover of a couch, and there's I think 4 or 5 rattlesnakes up under this person's. There were 4. Jeez.
Oh, wow.
I mean, so that was probably Well, I've had two calls last year that, and the way I gauge if it's a good call is, does my adrenaline spike? And I'm kind of an adrenaline junkie. I like to do things that not necessarily makes me scared, but gets me to a point where my hands start to tremble just from the amount of adrenaline that's pumping in it. And last year, that call you're talking about, this lady was out and she had covers over her outdoor lawn furniture, and she was spraying with a hose just to get the dirt off the covers before, sorry, my dog just barked, before she took the covers off. And when she was spraying it, she heard something that sounded like a rattle and called me.
Nope.
Hold on one second. I'm so sorry. My wife's outside on a phone call. My dog's yipping. Hold.
No,
it's
that's
all
okay.
good.
This is a snake call. This is a dog call. Is what it is.
Dog call.
Yeah.
I love that you can still hear it.
Is it okay?
Yeah, it's good.
I used to work in La Costa.
Muting that.
I love
Come in. The
Lacoste.
dog's going crazy, and I'm on my call.
I think maybe it was just like over
Looping
Please.
back.
Please.
I guess.
Sorry.
I'm just.
She's outside, and my puppy, we have a new puppy, and she's huge. And she can actually hear my wife on the phone call, so she starts barking. So I had to go yip at my wife.
Aw.
Wow.
Was that the
back,
brown and
sorry.
white dog?
It's all good.
Yeah, she's a Newfoundland, and we got her about a year ago, and she's already 90 pounds. She's only a year old. I have a lab, too, that's blind. But my puppy is the best. She's a great dog, but she's still a puppy, so I apologize.
No,
It's
you're
all
good.
But back to that. So back to that couch story. I'm so sorry about that interruption.
It's okay.
I get there, and regularly my wife doesn't go with me, but that particular day, she happened to be in the car, and I said, will you go with me? So she actually took the camera and started filming, which is really rare. She's petrified of snakes. She has zero interest in what I do with them. But she came with me, and ironically, she left Broadway and now is a big photographer. So she has skills with a camera, which usually I'm by myself. And I'm trying to video, I'm trying to pick up snakes, I'm trying to get the bucket open. So usually the videos are terrible, to say the least.
Yeah.
But this particular day, she videoed, and it happened to be a very dynamic call, because I lifted up the cover, and I immediately saw 1, and then 2, and then 3, and then ultimately found 4 big rattlesnakes, all denned up or nested up underneath the cover. And luckily, my wife was there, because it's a way better video, because I would have probably dropped my phone and freaked out just because I would have been so excited. So we got it all on video.
Wow.
That's
Nice.
That is
crazy.
insane. I was gonna say, it sounds like maybe that's one of your craziest stories. That was one of our questions, but it brings up a good point. Like, we're going into summer here pretty soon, and in San Diego it warms up, and snakes are no stranger to wandering into yards, especially out here in East County, which is where we're recording from. Is there any advice that that somebody that lives in the area or lives in an area where snakes commonly do come into backyards, is there any advice you'd give on how to handle a snake until a professional can get there? I know we already talked about calling a professional and not calling the fire department, but like, how do you handle something like that, being a complete novice like me?
What I tell people to do is, when they call me, if you can, safely take a picture of the snake and send it to me, text it to me. First of all, I can tell you, is it a venomous snake or is it not? Because you'd be amazed. People call and go, I've got a huge rattlesnake in my yard. And I get there, and it's a snake, and it's huge. But I just pick it up and put it around my neck, and I go, but it's a gopher snake. And they're like, oh, we didn't know. So what I've tried to do is first get a picture sent to me, and I can at least tell them it's this or it's that, or it's not this or it's not that. And then I tell them, keep an eye on it safely. Don't get too close where it gets nervous, but just watch it from 5 or 6 feet away until I get there. And I tell them, if it disappears, please call me back, because if I'm driving, I might drive 30 minutes for you to tell me when I get there, oh, I lost it, which is a waste of all of our times. Plus the gas at $6 a gallon. It's kind of a pain. So, but I always tell people, don't try to capture them. Don't try to put a bucket over them. Don't try to step on them. Just leave them alone, because if they're not alarmed, they're probably just going to do what they were doing, which is just searching your yard for food. Or a lot of times when they're in yards, they're there for the irrigation system. They're looking for water. So your sprinklers kick on in the morning. The snakes get used to that, and they know they can go get a sip of water, because they're in a drought situation just like we are, right?
Yeah.
So the snakes are going to come and drink that water, and then they may just find a quiet place under a bush and just sit there. So all you have to do is wait until I or someone like me comes, and you will not get bitten. If you try to pick them up, try to get them in a bucket, or try to kill them yourself, you have now exponentially increased the chances that you are going to be bitten by that snake.
Wow.
Don't worry, I don't think any of us are going to do that.
So rule number 0 is the fencing, obviously. Rule number 1 is call Bruce, I think.
Yeah.
No,
Exactly.
I will not.
I love that. Yeah, call me or one of my guys. The other thing in yards that seems to attract snakes, well, 2 things, is a bird feeder that's got seeds in it, not a hummingbird feeder, but like a regular bird feeder. The birds chip away at it. It kicks out food. The rats and mice wait underneath for the food, and then the snakes are smart enough to know, hey, this is a food source.
Wow.
Second is chicken. You guys living out where you do, you probably have friends or know people that have chicken coops. Chicken coops attract all kinds of, not to mention the big, mammals, the big cougars, the big bobcats, the coyotes. But snakes will literally lay underneath a chicken coop. They don't want to eat the chickens. They don't want to eat the eggs. They want the food that falls to attract the rats, and then they're going to eat the rats. I find huge rattlesnakes under chicken coops all the time.
Dang.
Wow.
That's the only
food
person
of
I've
its
ever
food.
known to get bit by a rattlesnake was crawling up underneath their chicken coop to try to get their dog, and a rattler bit him.
Yikes.
And that's just one of those unfortunate accidents that, probably could have been helped if they looked underneath there first with the flashlight. It's like anything. Don't go where you don't know, And the rattlesnakes, they're going to sit quietly in a dark spot like that and wait. But you just happen to crawl in there. They don't know you're not there to kill them, so they're going to defend themselves, which is a bite.
I love your attitude about it, Bruce, about you keep talking about how we're basically living in the same space together, us and these snakes and really all creatures. And the fact that we can try and make an effort to coexist with them, and you relocating them and just being conscious of the fact that, like, hey, the snakes didn't ask us to be where we are, right? Mm-hmm. I mean, all we can do is try and, like I said, coexist. And
now I want to see the animals that you coexist with.
Oh,
really bad. I'm so excited.
Okay, good. Well, so let me tell. Can I tell one more story?
Yes.
Please keep going.
So this literally just happened yesterday, and it just went on TikTok probably an hour before I got on this call, and I don't know what it's doing. But so yesterday, this man called me, and he said he was out walking his dog right here in Carlsbad. He saw what he thought was a large snake sticking out of a manhole cover with the holes in the top of a manhole cover. And I said, are you still there? And he said, nope. I walked by it. I said, was it alive? He goes, my dog sniffed it. It kind of moved, but I don't know if that was just a nervous reaction. It may have been dead. I said, okay, send me the coordinates. So it's actually really close. I got there within 5 minutes, and it's right next to a fire station. So I walked up. There was the manhole. There's the snake. The manhole was so freaking heavy, I couldn't get it up. I tried sticking my finger in the other hole. There's usually 2 holes. The snake was in one. I put my finger and I couldn't get it. I went back to my car. I have one tool that's kind of like a short, stubby rake. I tried with all my muscle. I went down to the fire station, and these 4 young firemen were sitting there, and I told them, hey, it's right outside. Can you guys help me at least get the manhole? They were like, nope, but we can come kill the snake. And I was like, thanks, guys. I'll handle this one on my own. So I went back to the snake, and this time I just strained until the manhole cover popped up. In the hole was about 3 feet of the snake, and out of the hole was about 2 feet of the snake. So it was a big snake. Ooh. And now I had a 50-pound manhole with snake out either side, and I'm by myself standing at a major intersection in Carlsbad, and I'm like, what the heck? And I'm trying to get it out like you do a wine cork, twisting it. Nothing's happening. It's not coming out. This lady walks by, a jogger, and she sees what I'm doing, and I can see she's petrified. And I had to beg her. I said, please do me a favor and just, hey, Holly, thanks. There's my wife, my Broadway wife, just walked by.
Hey.
Say hi. She's way prettier than I am. So this lady, I rested the manhole cover. You got to think it's round, right? So it's not going to sit up on its edges. she came over and held it for me so I could work the snake, and she was petrified. In the video, you can hear her literally almost crying, but she was brave, and she did it, and she stuck with it, and I was working on the snake, and all of a sudden, all these other cars started pulling up. At some point, there was like 8 cars. Everybody gets out. Some people just want to touch the snake. Yeah. Some people just want to video me with the snake. But 2 ladies showed up. One had Vaseline in her car. So I immediately squirted Vaseline all over the snake. Didn't work. So then I tried. Somebody else brought me warm water, put it on the snake. Didn't work. The second lady drove all the way home, came back with baby oil. And lo and behold, we put baby oil on it. And we both started like simultaneously moving the snake as delicately as we can, because that's their internal organs. You know, everything's delicate on a snake. And eventually it popped out, and we all were just screaming. And, you know, I got emotional. And so I kept him overnight and made sure he was okay. And then I released him yesterday, and he was 100% fine. And it was probably one of the more, not just cool snake calls, and my anxiety and my adrenaline didn't kick up for that one. But I just loved that the community took interest to help. That blew me away.
That's amazing.
Yeah, it was super cool. So I wanted to share that because it literally just happened. And I don't get too many calls where I get people that willingly will help, even though they're petrified of snakes. So that said, I'm going to get Elvis out.
Yes,
Elvis.
Elvis. Is he a king snake?
He is a king snake. So about two weeks ago, this girl calls me and she says, I have a snake. It's my pet. I've only had him for about 6 months. I never take him out. I don't think I'm good for him. Do you want him? And I said, well, what is it? And she says, it's a king snake. I assumed a local San Diego king snake, maybe 2 feet. I get there, and it's out kind of in your area. It's out in the East County a little bit. I go to her home. She's got it in a closet in a little dingy tank. Aww. And I reach in. Now, keep in mind, she told me it's not very friendly. It's never really been held. And so
I'm so excited.
I pull Elvis out.
My.
And he is just a stud.
Wow.
He is like the coolest. And he's 5 feet long, man. I don't know if you can see all of him. He is 5 feet long. He's got a pattern that looks like a king cobra. I don't know how well
I was about to say, that's not a normal king snake pattern.
No, well, so he's from Florida, and I didn't know anything about Florida king snakes, but now I'm an expert in the last 2 weeks. So Elvis is my new BFF.
Oh my gosh. He's so cute, his little tongue.
Elvis is the king snake.
He's the king, baby. He's the king, baby. I'll tell you what. This guy, I'll put on his blue suede shoes for you, baby.
That is awesome.
So you were saying that she told you that he was never really held. Have you found that he's like cuddly?
Well, you know what's funny about reptiles? We have four rescued pets now. We have Elvis. We have a ball python named Izzy. We have a bearded dragon named Lizzie. And then we got last year, and I don't know if you saw that TikTok, some guy called me and they had a Panther Chameleon, which is this. It looks like Skittles got melted and then poured all over a reptile.
Wow,
that's what it looks like. I'll put Elvis away, but so
nice to see you, buddy.
Elvis is a cool snake. But do you guys want to see Max? Max is my Panther Chameleon.
Yeah, yes. I did kind of feel like a stalker already knowing his name was Max because I watched all his TikToks.
He's pretty. The whole story is on your TikTok of how you discovered him and then you guys tried to find. It's obviously a pet, you were saying, because they're not native to San Diego at all. But then you guys decided to keep him. So tell us a little bit about him before you grab him.
So before I get him, so I get a call. This was on October 11th, 2021. I remember it because our snake calls had started to taper off because it started to get cold. This guy calls me and he goes, "Hey, I know you're the snake guy. I don't have a snake, but I have something that's really wild looking." And I said, "What is it?" And he goes, "I don't know. It's a really bright colored lizard." And I said, "Where is it?" He said, "Well, I put a stick down, it crawled up on it, and then I put it into a Tupperware container." And I said, "Send me your address." So
said, "On my way."
I got there and I started rolling video as I walked up his driveway, and I was alone this time, so I didn't have anybody filming. And I immediately said, that's a Panther Chameleon. They're from Madagascar. You know, they're from an island between Africa and India. They're not from here. So this is either a pet that got out or somebody realized this is a really expensive pet that I can't afford to keep anymore. And they did the unthinkable and let it go. And what's crazy is he was still perfectly healthy. He didn't have, you know, if they're out in the wild for a while, they start to look haggard. You know, their toenails wear down. They start to look, you know, thin. They get dehydrated. He was healthy as can be. So when I walked up to the Tupperware, I said to the guy, I can't remember his name, I said, I'm going to put my hand down. They can bite. And if he bites me, They're not venomous. I put my hand down, and then as the video shows, he literally crawled up my arm.
Wow.
He got to my ear, climbed up my ear, and perched on my head. And I was blown away. And that was it. That's when I fell in love with Max. I brought him home. My kids happened to be having a play date that day, so I had like 8 little kids over. They were all just blown away by Max. And I thought, well, the best thing to do is just put an ad on Facebook, and I did it on Nextdoor, and nobody claimed him, but one man kept saying, I lost my Panther Chameleon. I'm a teacher. It was in my classroom, but he was way down in normal heights. Oh. And he said he lost it 6 months ago. And I said, I'm calling BS on you. I don't know if I believe you. You know, it's a $1,000 lizard. You're saying it was yours. You're going to have to prove to me. So back and forth, he sent a few pictures. It did kind of look like him, but most Panther Chameleons look alike. So I said, I'll tell you what, I'll meet you, and I'm going to trust that you're going to be a good human being. And if this is your lizard, I'll let you have him. So we met at a parking ride. It was like a drug deal, man. I felt so dirty. I was looking around, and I had my little Tupperware with a towel over it. He gets there, and I'm like, are you John? He's like, yeah, I'm John. I'm like, okay. And he took a look at it and immediately said, nope, that's not mine. Mine was much bigger than that. So that was it. I brought Max home. I immediately had to go drop a bunch of money on a new enclosure because they're completely different to care for them than anything I've ever cared for. They have to have really humid, wet conditions with live plants. And so, it's been since October 11th, and he is now a big part of our family. And he's in this bush behind me, so I apologize if I drop off for a second.
It's pretty reassuring, actually, that the guy didn't try to just take the...
Yeah, that's actually really cool that he decided to be like...
honest about it.
No, wasn't mine.
Excuse me,
like you were saying, it's a $1,000 pet. That's like,
you guys, he's in the fiddle tree.
Okay, Cara.
Okay, Cara, you will
Take
play
a break,
over
okay?
job.
Fiddleifa.
I do feel attached to him with probably thousands of other people. Since I saw him on TikTok, I feel a little attached to him.
Oh my gosh. Oh my god.
Millions almost.
This is Max.
Wow.
So do you find, this might be a dumb question, do you find that he actually changes colors?
Oh yeah, he does. So they don't turn like brown to green. They go different shades of bright. Like when he gets nervous, like when my puppy comes around him, he turns like super bright and bright yellow and orange. But then when he's comfortably resting in his cage, he almost just goes fully lime green. I just woke him up, so he's like, whoa, what is going on, guys?
Oh, my God.
He is just... So what's crazy about them is their little hands, I know you probably can't see, they look like little oven mitts. They're little pinchy things. I think
that's my favorite thing about chameleons is their little like claws.
Yeah, they do. They just have like a thumb and then...
Yeah, not even a thumb. I mean, it's like both sides of his hands are the same. They're like little, like oven mitts. That's the best way I can describe them. But then they have a prehensile tail. So I don't know if you see, he could hold on if I wanted to lift him. He can hold on just by his tail.
Wow.
His little legs.
And then their little eyeballs, they're like little machine gun turrets. One can look backwards and one could be looking forwards. And they're constantly watching. Like one time, he could be watching me, but he's also watching my puppy to walk by to see if there's a threat. Wow. And when he gets nervous, he blows out his chin, and he looks like he's got a strawberry in his face. His whole chin turns bright red, and it looks like a ripe strawberry. That means he's not happy. He only does that when Maggie, my puppy, goes near him.
Has he ever bitten anyone?
No. Wow. He's never bitten. He's never hissed at me. The only one he reacts a little weird to is the puppy because she's a big flop doodle and she comes flopping into the room. And and Max doesn't know, okay, is this something going to hurt me? But no, he seems a little, he usually likes to climb. Let's see if, there we go, watch. You go up, bud. Oh, there's a little boy.
He's like a little baby.
Yeah, he's like, and then he'll pull himself up.
What?
So do you know how old he is?
No idea. So one guy that is I guess, chameleon expert, I sent pictures. He assumes when I got him, which was now not quite a year, that he's probably 2 then, so maybe 3. They can live to 20. No, I'm sorry, that's a snake. They can only live to like 12. They don't have the long lives of like my bearded dragon. I think I'm stuck with them till I'm in the old folks' home. So, and Elvis, I think Elvis can live for 25 years. So I don't know how old Elvis is either. To get that big, he's got to be a couple years old. But yeah, I have no idea. So
Wow.
Yeah,
Jeez,
but
a little creature.
it's funny. I think doing the snake thing, I think people feel like they can just call me and say, "Hey, will you come take my reptile off my hands?" Because I get calls all the time for, "Hey, do you want a ball python or do you want a bearded dragon?" I'm like, no, I don't. I don't.
At Bruce's place.
Well,
Reptile in.
Yeah, you saw my wife. She looks so nice and sweet. Don't let her fool you. When I brought Elvis home, she was like, "There's no freaking way that thing's staying." Of course, I said, "Yes, it is."
Yep.
So now he lives in the garage. But Max has a nice, comfortable bed up in my daughter's room. But Elvis, unfortunately, is in the garage with a heat lamp. So.
Yeah, interesting that you brought up how it's changed, and I want to get a little bit into your social media journey because you really kind of took TikTok by storm, and like we mentioned earlier, you were very close to 1 million followers, which is no easy feat. How did that change? Like, how did that start? Social media? Who had the idea to get you on there, and then also how does it change your business now?
So, great questions. TikTok was kind of I have 2 daughters. I have an 11 and 13-year-old daughter. And when we started TikTok was probably 2 years ago. So they were 2 years younger than that. And they were on TikTok all the time watching it. And I kind of knew what TikTok was, but I literally just thought it was you had to know dance moves and try to copy Justin Bieber. And, you have to, I had no idea that it was a platform that you could do a lot of great things with. So I posted a few videos. It took a while. Like the first few, I was thrilled to get 100 views. And then we started to pick up some momentum. And what I started doing was filming rattlesnake calls. And I noticed that people were really intrigued by the venomous snakes. They seemed to be more curious about those than any normal snake calls. So I started filming a lot of the snake calls. And it kind of took off. And then we had our first viral video. I think it had like 4.5 million views, and it was exciting. And then the followers started coming, and it was great. I mean, I was picking up hundreds and hundreds of followers a day, and I didn't really realize that was a good thing. I had no idea. I didn't know if TikTok you were doing good. Like on Instagram, I don't have that many followers. It's really like 2,500. So to get to 500,000, I was like, wow, this is I think pretty good. But unfortunately, TikTok is an interesting platform. It's a love-hate thing for me. I love that I have a voice and that I can share videos that hopefully educate people and take some of the negative stigma that's attached to snakes away. But TikTok really monitors videos closely, and I got banned early on. I couldn't figure out why. I was like, oh, okay, I guess I shouldn't do that anymore. And then they continued to ban me. In fact, I think now to date, Elvis is trying to come out. Oh, scared him. Oh, now he's rattling. Can you hear that? He's rattling his tail. I scared him. Let me put. You hear that? Hey, buddy. So
We're on
a
a
lot
snake
of
call right
snakes.
now, guys. You are on a snake call right now.
A lot of snakes will rattle their tails when they're nervous to try to emulate a rattlesnake in hopes that it will scare whatever it is off. Wow. Unfortunately, it probably, gopher snakes, king snakes, this guy, they'll do it, and especially if they're in leaves, because it will make a rattling sound. Unfortunately, it gets a lot of non-venomous snakes killed. because people go, oh, I hear a rattle.
It's a
So Max
rattlesnake.
is climbing up. Here goes Max
there goes
to
Max.
his favorite part of my head. So I'm sorry, what were we talking about?
We were talking about
TikTok
the
was
TikTok ban,
banning
and I'm
you
glad
and-
you're talking about that because I remember you posting about that, and I remember you even posted, you were saying you were leaving TikTok, and I remember I've been following you for like a year, and I was like, oh man, I really enjoyed all your content, and then you came back, and I was like, okay, you're back, so I'm glad you're talking about this.
Okay, so the banning, I couldn't figure out why, because TikTok does not have a way you can address them directly. You can't call somebody, you can't email somebody, you can't text somebody and go, hey, I'm a trained professional, or hey, the banned video was a harmless gopher snake. Because they don't just ban me taking rattlesnakes. They ban me king snakes, gopher snakes, snakes that are completely harmless. So I never know if they're going to ban me or not. I've learned to never put kids in my video. That's an immediate ban.
Interesting.
But it got to the point where I was so frustrated, and I was like, I do not need this crap. I spent a lot of time to edit these videos to make them interesting and educational, and then they ban them. So I made a decision at the end of last year. I said, I'm done. And I kind of went out with a video, and it got a lot of views, which was fine. And it was really sweet. There was a lot of people saying, please don't leave. But I just was done. I got tired of having somebody telling me what's good TV and what's not, or good videos and what's not. When on TikTok, there's people, cussing, and there's violence, there's car accidents, there's almost nudity, but those people don't get banned.
Yeah.
And here I am trying to take a snake professionally with tongs out of a house to relocate it, and I get dinged. So I still haven't figured out what their issue with me is, because what I've learned is it's actually not just me. A lot of the more popular snake content creators also get banned. But unfortunately, the last ban I just got off of was yesterday, and they said this could be your final ban before you're permanently banned. So I don't know if I just stop or try really hard to just PG it down or G it down, I guess. Because what I do is inherently dangerous if somebody else tried to do it, and I understand that. But I say in all my videos, professional, do not attempt, do not do what I'm doing. Everything that I can think of to make people realize this is no game. I am not messing around, and if I am bitten, I could die. I mean, that's the reality. But there are content people on TikTok that are free handling rattlesnakes. They're free handling gaboon vipers, which is one of the most dangerous snakes in the world. Wow. But they don't have that many followers, so they don't get banned. So I think it's as you progress up the hierarchy of TikTok, you I guess draw more attention. So I don't know what I'm going to do, and you know what? If I get banned permanently, I can care less. I'll find another avenue to get the word out, or I'll just keep doing what I'm doing locally in my community and helping those that I can help.
And it kind of ties back into how we started this interview. We were talking about the misconceptions that people have with snakes, and you brought up a great point that it's just something that gets passed down. And I think that extends to a lot of things where when fear surrounds, even something like snakes in your neighborhood, that can really dictate where the narrative goes of like, oh, this is a dangerous act that somebody's doing. And in reality, you're doing nothing but positive things. You're taking a beautiful creature and you're relocating it to a place that is going to be safe for it ultimately. And you're helping out the community. So I think that's just something, it seems like you're on the front end of that. And
TikTok just doesn't get that.
Yeah, that's right.
Well, and you got to wonder if it's robotic and they're just flagging things because that's what they catch, or is there somebody really over there watching all these videos and going, nope, you can't do that. Nope, you can't do that. Which I just honestly, so I will say this, TikTok has one thing you can do. So if you get banned, you can hit a button and all it says is appeal. Just that's it, appeal. And then they must relook at it. And of all my videos, I think I've been banned 17 times. Wow. I've appealed all of them, and they've reinstated 14 of the 17. Wow. So 3 got permanently banned. But what happens is when they're permanently banned, you lose all those comments, all those follows, all those likes, and that video is now gone. What also happens is when they ban you, and they've banned me now up to 10 days, that's been the most severe. When you can't post, you lose interest.
Yeah.
Your flame has gone out. So I see my follows and my likes and my comments tank, and I can't go on. And one thing sorry, I'm jumping around, but on TikTok, if someone writes a comment to me, I try really hard, as long as it's not an ignorant or dumb or thoughtless comment, I try to go on and thank them and comment back. And I comment back on almost every comment I get. But when they ban you, you lose that ability. So people are writing, "Hey, that's a great video. Thanks for what you do." I can't respond, which, if you're on the other end of that, you might go, "Wow, this guy's got an ego and he's an idiot. He's not even writing back or saying like or anything." So it's weird. It's social media is very strange. It's something that I have yet to fully comprehend of the impact. And I love it. And I also hate it. I actually really sometimes wake up and go, I'm done.
Yeah.
We can definitely understand that. We talk about that quite a bit on this show. So, can definitely see where you're coming from.
I got one more question for you, Bruce, and then I promise I won't take up any more of your time. It is a little bit hard to take you seriously with a chameleon on your head like that.
No, I think that's how you should walk through your whole life from now on. Bruce and Max, the power duo.
Hearing you talk about TikTok taking you seriously, and I'm like, there's a full-blown Panther Chameleon on his head. But TikTok, I still agree, TikTok should take you seriously. I guess my last question is, you kind of touched on it here or there, but like, what's one thing that the average user who maybe doesn't know anything about snakes or capturing snakes, what's something you wish that people, if they could take one thing away that you wish they knew about how important your job is or what you do in the community?
Yeah, that's a really good question, actually. I think going back to the fear aspect, I think, like I said earlier, and what you guys just said again, is we are taught to fear things in life. And I don't want to bring up things like racism, but we aren't taught to be racist. We aren't taught to be homophobic. I mean, we aren't born that way. I'm sorry. We are taught to be that way. And I really wish that the chain of fear can be broken or could be broken, because I think, again, it's passed down. Your grandparents feared snakes, you're going to fear snakes. You fear snakes, you're going to teach your kids to fear snakes. And what I've learned is, if I can get to these people, whether it's an adult or a child, most of them, that fear just melts away. And all of a sudden they have a whole new, I won't say love, but a whole new understanding, and certainly a whole new respect for them. And you know what? That's all I ever ask. I don't care if I never get people to want to own a pet as a snake or join me on a snake call. I just want them to understand that they're not killers. They're not out to get us, and they really are just a part of nature trying to do their thing, and that's it. Break that fear cycle, I guess. If I could do one thing bigger in my life, that would be it. Just change a few more. Sorry, my chameleon's looking like he might try to fall. There he goes. Sorry, buddy. I don't know. I don't know if that was the most brilliant answer or the way I put it out there, but I'm shocked at how many people are scared of snakes. I just am, and it blows my mind that. And again, they've either read about it somewhere or someone has put it in their head that they are evil. And every snake's going to wait till you walk outside. They're going to jump on your head and bite you. That's what they do.
I also think probably too, like the response we've been taught, like Cara and I were talking to you a bit earlier, just like we're taught to kill them, or like you would have to call the fire department and a fire truck shows up, and it was like
to be here.
Yeah, it was like this whole ordeal that like this was a big deal if a snake was there. In reality, it's like we were saying earlier, we're living with them. Yeah, like we're sharing a habitat.
It's crazy.
Well, I think about snakes have been around for 50 million years. They've been around, almost since the dinosaurs, yet we're shocked to see them in our backyard. What we should be is thrilled that we still have wild animals coming around. We're fortunate living in San Diego County where we do that. You don't have to go very far to see wildlife.
Yeah.
I mean, if you're an outdoor person at all, you're pretty sure to see wildlife if you just go for a hike. But sometimes that wildlife's going to come into your yard, and treat it with respect. It's weird. People will kill snakes that would never kill anything else. Oh, a bobcat. I'm not going to kill it. That's a beautiful animal. Or a possum or a raccoon. Oh, it's a snake. I got to go get the shovel.
Yeah.
He really likes that ear, it seems.
I do have really good earlobes. They're like really swingy, my kids tell me. So maybe that's why Max is on my earlobe.
To what you're saying, I mean, I think it's really cool. I agree 100%. And like, I hope that anyone that watches this interview and some of our viewers can take that with them, because I learned so much just in what you've told us. And I didn't even know that the fire department has to kill snakes. And so that's such good information for our ecosystem. And and you can put Ryan and I on your on-call snake.
Sure.
Put me in there too.
We'll do it.
Hey, next time you go on a snake run, when you need somebody to jump on them and hook them. And
Go ahead and text John.
The only thing they'll be good
John.
for is to hold the camera. I promise. That's it.
Andy, you could be there.
What we'll do next time, instead of this Zoom thing where we're all safe, you guys come up, we'll go on a snake call together, and you guys can do your podcast right there with the live snake and see it firsthand. And
Bruce, don't say something that you can't follow through on, because we will take you up on that.
all four of us are in.
I would love it. I would love that.
Yes.
Well, we'll have you again, Bruce, because we really want to see some of these animals up close. And so this is not the last time you'll be on our show,
Definitely.
man. But I appreciate you coming by,
honored. Man. I'm honored. Yeah, I'm super honored that you guys took interest and reached out to me. And I'm humbled by you guys that there's that much interest. And, San Diego is a fabulous city. And if people are scared of snakes, but I maybe try to change one of those minds, then I'm thrilled that I've been able to help.
Yeah. One more thing. Where can people find you at? Just before we click off officially.
Yeah. So on Nextdoor, I'm all over that with my phone number. On TikTok, it's SD, which is for San Diego, SD Snake Adventures. And that's kind of the platform where we do a lot of the videos that you've seen. We are on Instagram, just my last name, Ireland, and then my initials, RBI. So Ireland, RBI. And if you reach out to me in any of those places, I will absolutely get back in touch. If you guys are in San Diego that hear this and have a question about snakes or want me to come out to your property and check it out to see if it's, a trap for snakes, I'm always happy to come out there and help out.
Wow.
Jeez, Bruce.
That's it. Bruce from SD Snake Adventures. Thank you so much for talking to us today. And we just really appreciate your time. Keep getting those snakes, those beautiful creatures.
Yeah, thanks, guys.
Yep. All right. Talk to you soon, Bruce.
Thank you, guys. Have a great night.
Wow.
Compelling. No, it was great. We had a great time with Bruce.
Such a good interview. I love that guy.
And we didn't. It wasn't shown in the interview, but literally we stopped recording and we spent like 5 or 6 more minutes just like talking with him and chatting with him, and he was just so grateful with his time. Like he just was really happy to be with us. So
If
I appreciate
anyone wants to donate a chameleon.
I know. I think
Cara was obsessed with the
the podcast.
chameleon.
well, maybe we might need
Max.
a Max of our own on this fiddle behind you.
Yeah.
Maybe
Oh
we'll
my
just take that whole
gosh.
corner. We'll make it an
A
enclosure.
reptile enclosure.
I was thinking maybe like a
Max.
Don't
fake
joke.
Well, not
Max.
Big rattlesnake, Annie.
Yeah, a really venomous rattlesnake.
Yeah. Elvis.
Hey,
And we let it
don't
out,
joke
and we're
about
like,
it.
"Come on, let's do this thing."
Hey,
I kind of said before his interview, but what I really love about Bruce is the guy just has such a heart for his community.
Yeah.
Is that he's not, and for animals, truly, like being a part of the community. Because we obviously talked about it during the interview, but it's for him, it's this service for everyone. It's for the snakes. He can take them somewhere that it's safe for them to live. It's for whoever's making the call. He's obviously going to help them right at their house or in their backyard or something.
Yeah.
But he also takes the time to educate them, and he's saying, hey, this is not like, the snake is sharing the space with you. This is not like, oh, I'm getting rid of this monster. I am helping, part of the ecosystem to sustain even longer.
Yeah,
I think is awesome.
And I said it in the interview too. Like I've been following Bruce for a long time on my own personal TikTok, and when we were, and I'm just so happy to have him. Like it was so crazy to like see him on the screen and like be talking to him, because I have been watching him on TikTok for so long. And he was just so like, I was expecting crazy snake stories, which some of them we got some of that, but like you said, I wasn't expecting the enormous heart that he has for just the snake, the snake species, and just like learning. He knew so much about it. It was so
Absolutely.
cool.
Well,
Yeah.
I can't wait until you guys go out there and snake wrangle
Oh
with
yeah,
him.
we did volunteer on call.
We did.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're actually on
we
call
said
right
it to
now.
his face. Yeah. Anytime he's got a snake, he's gonna
Could
just
you imagine?
hit us up.
By the way, just rolling out to someone's house and being like, "Yeah, I'll just put this in the bucket, no problem."
I love it.
But
I mean,
those
he's just the guy.
crazy.
He's the guy, and
The videos he does.
He even said it. His first run, he didn't even have any of the gear. He's like, I got my golf club, I got my sack, right?
My pillowcase and a golf club.
our
What
bed.
we had a gopher snake. That's like the only. I mean, we've seen a couple snakes on our property, but my parents' house there was a gopher snake, and it got in our garage, and my mom freaked out, and my dad was like, "It's just a gopher snake, like
kill it?
it's like fully harmless, all this stuff." No, he took
kill it?
I think if I'm
He skinned
remembering
it
right, he
alive.
took tongs.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
The barbecue tongs.
Yeah,
Oh.
yeah.
Put it right
just-
on the grill and just.
No, it was the barbecue tongs though.
Bruce would kill me if
He
I.
just,
You wouldn't
like-
tell
heard
me if you
saying
killed
that.
it, right? Because you would
Hey,
probably
Chris,
just
No, he
pretend
didn't kill
like
it. He
that's what you want.
Just moved
You're
it.
saying?
No, he took
No,
the
the
tongs.
snake
Gopher
went to
snakes
live
are
on a
nice.
He took
farm.
the tongs and he just put it literally like right just outside.
And
the
it walked
garage.
right, and then it
went in the
slithered
bush.
right back in, and
went
it was
in the
like,
bush.
"What's up,
No,
dog? I'm here
There
now."
right
was
in the
one time
bushes.
I accidentally ran over a snake, but I thought it was a twig. I had no idea,
Killer,
and then
killer.
then it wasn't until I was like right on it where I was like, "Oh my gosh, was that a snake?" And I looked in my rearview mirror, and it slithered away. It was like sunbathing.
I've heard that.
He didn't care.
Oh yeah, like
did
he
not
was like,
care.
"What was that?
He's like, oh, what, your car?
Your car? You ran me over."
You thought.
You thought, yeah.
Nice.
Jordan thought she ran over a bunny one time, and she got all the way home, told me about it, and she's like, "Do you think we can go back and check?" And I was like,
No, it's gone.
"We're not going
gone.
back to check.
It
That's
was
for
Like,
sure."
yeah, it's gone.
You know, it kind of brings the whole conversation back to the beginning, which is, we get to decide what we pass on to the next generation. Obviously,
Yeah.
it kind of seems silly because we're still young, but we truly are at this age where we decide how we're going to live our lives. And in turn, that will decide for the next generation, like what they learn after, right?
Yeah.
Bruce is doing it with snakes. Maybe we're doing it with the way we talk to people. Maybe, like you said, racism isn't known. You're not born with that. You're learned that. Homophobia is learned. These are all learned negative behaviors.
Yeah.
And when we actively put them away and say, like, we're not going to live in that world anymore, we're not going to perpetuate things like that.
Then everyone likes snakes.
Everyone likes snakes.
No, I think you're right on. I hope that hearing Bruce's story and also all the work he's doing, it might persuade you next time there's a snake in your yard, instead of grabbing a shovel to kill it or calling the fire department, which is ultimately killing it, you think like, hey, I'm gonna try and track down. I mean, maybe it's not Bruce, but track down somebody who is relocating snakes, because like Bruce said, it is so detrimental. It can be so detrimental to the ecosystem that we live in. So it might seem like, oh, it's just one snake, but one snake can make the difference.
We only get one world, right? There's only so many snakes out there. We've got to take care of them.
Yeah. So next time I see a snake, I'm gonna try and capture it
I'm
myself.
calling Bruce.
No,
As for me and my house,
the one thing he
calling
did
Bruce.
say,
As for being
Hey,
in my
if
house,
you try
I'd
to
call
capture
Bruce.
it, at least try to capture it on video also.
Yes.
Yeah.
I'll
Maybe
body
getting
cam.
Go
I'll
it.
get a
million
body cam going.
followers, apparently.
Yeah.
Pretty
It
exciting
was
stuff.
It was really a great time, and I hope. I mean, I texted him afterwards, and I told him how cool it was to learn all that stuff.
Yep.
So
One more plug for him. SD Snake Adventures on TikTok. The dude's great. I think he's on Instagram too.
he's on
He
Instagram. Yeah,
is.
He's a great
same
dude.
thing. ST
He's-
Snakes
you
Adventures.
That's Bruce
he's
Ireland.
He's Ireland.
That's his
RBI.
personal, but he has an ST Snakes on Instagram as well.
Okay.
I followed his
SD
personal.
Snake
Yeah, and then he
Adventures.
also is on YouTube too. So yeah,
Perfect.
it'll all be linked below, of course.
Any closing thoughts, people of the podcast?
Oh,
Fun
man.
episode.
What an episode! Episode 70.
Episode 70, our first creature feature, man.
You've been holding that. You've been sitting on that.
Dude, when was the last time? We've never had animals on this show. Now we're going to have them every week.
Yeah, he'll be
We're
back.
going to get the
Every
snake
week.
for the corner.
It
right,
starts with
sounds
Bruce
good.
and it's going to end with Steve Irwin's kid. What's his name?
Robert.
Okay, go ahead.
Robert.
And
Oh, I
Bindi.
wish we could have
Robert
them on
and
the show.
Bindi.
I'll
Hey,
take
maybe
Robert.
down the line.
Alrighty.
Folks, head on down to the old bio. Use all those lovely little links down there to get all your podcast stuff. Helps us out, gets a percentage back to us.
Yes.
If not, we'll see you next week on
What the